One of the most iconic characters came in probably the least descript box I've ever received from a company. This is clearly Optimus Prime. This is from Transformers Rise of the Beasts, and this came to me from Yolopark. So they sent this out, thank you so much, but it came in the non-final box, which is completely fine, but I do enjoy Yolopark boxes. So as we start to talk about Optimus Prime here, couple caveats. One, this is a Yolopark model kit. This is a non-transforming Transformer, so what we see here in Optimus Prime's robot mode is what you get. There's not more than meets the eye here, but it is a feast for the eyes. And the other thing I want to mention is this is one of the AMK Pro series. What is cool about that is that some of the pieces are die cast. And what that does for this figure is it gives it a lot of heft and it gives it a lot of visual interest. So things like these thigh plates right here, this is die cast. So when you touch it, it's cool to the touch. But they just didn't give us a plain metal piece. There's some weathering here too. So again, feast for the eyes. We'll talk all about that. But I think those are the couple things that you need to know. One, non-transforming. Two, there are die-cast parts. So this is a hefty character. So let's start talking about our Optimus Prime. He is a feast for the eyes, like I've mentioned a couple times already. And whether or not you like the Michael Bay version of the Transformers, what you cannot deny is that looking at this Optimus Prime, the details on this are absolutely stunning. No matter what angle you look at Optimus here, there is something unique, something interesting with either weathering, with paint application, with design details for the parts. It all goes together extremely well. And the parts themselves, they are laid out in our standard Yolopark sheets. So without instruction, you could probably figure it out because all of the pieces are keyed and registered in a way that interlock. Now, what does help with the instructions is the order of operations, because if you do layer on certain bits and pieces before others, it could make the part not fit extremely well or prone to pop off. It's just those tiny little details sometimes that can matter as you start to construct all of the limbs around the core unit. But all of the pieces, well, I guess except one piece doesn't really fit all that well. Every other piece has fit extraordinarily well, and the one it's like kind of butt flaps, is butt cheek flaps. It does want to pop out. And there's probably a reason for that, because that piece is where you could fit the Optimus Prime on the included stand. I'm not a big fan of the stands for these figures because, well, especially the die-cast ones, there is a weight to them, so they stand extraordinarily well. You don't have to have too terribly much consideration for posing, because the center of gravity and the gravity in general will be distributed well. But yes, just a feast for the eyes. You can see that around the elbow that these pieces will flex and bend out of the way, so you can get some great articulation out of the double jointed elbows. And as you notice that some of these joints expand and contract, Yolopark has designed them in such a way that there doesn't look to be plain, just boring plastic. It unveils certain hidden elements that give it some more visual feast. But I don't think it would look as interesting if it weren't for some of the weathering. If you just look on Optimus Prime's forearm here, all of these pipes and details here pop out. And the reason for that is because there has been a wash applied. So the nooks and crannies get the shadow look, and it allows the raised surfaces to pop out. You can also see that on his back along the shoulders right in here. Like his actual shoulder piece, this is a die-cast element here, and as we turn it around, you can see those details with that wash applied. So wonderfully done, so thoughtfully done. And when it comes to these pro, like the higher tier level model kits from Yolopark, like, I don't think I've had a bad one. The only one that I didn't like was one that was missing a part. Not just the wash for the weathering too. There's also areas where there's brushes and scrapes, and you can really see this on his hands. There are just like his knuckles feel like they've been scraped up. This is a robot after all, so it's going to make sense that there is some variation to the metallic look. Now, included in the box are these hands that have finger articulation, which are wonderful. These ones are like the hero version of the hands that go with Optimus Prime, but they throw in a bunch of extra hands. So ones where like the fingers are splayed out like he's giving a command, or things like that you would not normally easily be able to do with the limited articulation when it comes to the posable fingers. There is a difference. There is a difference between the hands. So the ones that aren't posable, the ones that are just molded into place, feel like they're made well, actually, they don't feel like it. They legitimately look like they are made from a different plastic, a different mold. And I feel like I've seen these from the non-pro versions of AMK model kits before, possibly from the Megatron one or the Optimus Prime one from Transformers one. It's a nice inclusion, but I don't know why you would want to use those unless you are only quickly glancing at the figure, because this is just like the stock hands, the ones that were built for this Optimus Prime, are going to give you the best effect. Now, the rifle that he carries, like the very famous classic Optimus Prime rifle, has some amazing weathering on it too. It's not just a matte black piece of plastic. There are details that pop out, and just kind of like there is some dry brushing, there is some on that as well. His axe, similar to the alternate hand sculpts, I feel like it was made for a different character, and it looks good, like it's a nice inclusion, but it just doesn't feel like it 100% fits, unlike the hand blaster cannons that you can put on in place of his posable hands, as well as I guess they kind of clip over the ball joint of his wrist, the swords that can extend out of his forearms. It's a really cool little effect. The way that I found that works the best is you clip them on this way, and then you just kind of rotate them around, and you can still put the hand on there, and it allows a lot more dynamic ability or posing ability with Optimus Prime. Dynamics aside, we've talked about like how the double joints all work. There's also some butterfly work here too, and it's a subtle effect, but as you see here, it looks like a piston pulling his shoulder forward. So even though it is seemingly a boring piece of plastic, it gives you a sense that this is a robot operating with all kinds of mechanical internals. So even in those moments where there isn't a whole lot of detail, it still tells the story of these very complicated looking Transformers. Now, here is two Optimus Primes from Yolopark right next to each other. This is, of course, the classic Transformers cartoon look, and here we have the Rise of the Beast version of Optimus Prime. They're both roughly the same size, and you can undeniably tell that they are both very much Optimus Prime. Personally, I like the simplistic G1 style of this Optimus Prime, but I can also appreciate, even though like the movies aren't my favorite Transformers property, and I can sometimes see that they're visually confusing, at least when they're in movement, in plastic, in action figure form, these look great. It gives me actually a new appreciation for some of these movies because you can see the details that went into it that we just probably don't see because they're constantly in motion. So to tie this all up, what do I like? What don't I like? What would I have done differently? Well, for starters, what do I like? The visual feast here. So putting together the figure is interesting, it's cool. It allows you to see how all of the pieces fit, and it gives you a better sense of the articulation when you're all done. Now, what I don't like is that when you're sometimes posing these figures and you're moving and swiveling, because this is a model kit and is designed to be put together and pulled apart, you will see sometimes the separation of the joints that you then have to kind of go in and wiggle back. It's a small, minor annoyance, and I haven't had anything completely fly off and pop out at inopportune times, but it is something that you will notice the more you manipulate this figure. Now, what I would have changed about this Optimus Prime is some of the accessory kit. Either limit it and put some more detailing. I mean, it already looks great, but put even more detailing on the figure, the pieces that come with it, or try to match the accessories a little better to the figure that this is attached to. I think for the most part they work. They can be more closely fit to this Rise of the Beast style Optimus Prime. It just feels like they were pulling different elements from other model kits just to give it a little more value, which is cool, but just having a little more attention to detail in those extra accessories would have a more visually cohesive piece if you wanted to go and use those other accessories. Honestly, I don't see me using those at all, so they're just kind of an extra at this point, but, you know, things would change. At the very start of this review, when I said this is a non-transforming Transformer, I've lost some of you. And there's an element that I can understand there, because when it comes to Transformers, you want it to transform. Like, it's in the name, and I've talked about this in other reviews too, but I still think it applies. I will say, though, if you do get your hands on one of these, I think you will be impressed at how just really good it looks. And because we don't have to consider and worry about the folds and the different hinges and joints that make the alt mode turn into the robot form, we get an elevated level of detail. So respect to the people who want a transforming Transformer, but you know, at the same time, this is still a really cool figure. And in fact, I kind of like the robot forms of the Transformers for the most part, so to have these is just a cool statue to the most iconic form of these robots in disguise. Like, this is one of my favorite Yolopark Optimus Primes that I put together, second to probably only the G1 version, cartoon version of Optimus Prime from the similar Pro level series model kits that they make out there. And if you enjoy our discussion on Transformers, I talk about action figures, pop culture, collectibles. I think Transformers fits in all three of those categories. Blasters, Transformers come with blasters too, so it fits all those categories. But that just makes my point, because you gotta hit subscribe to stay tuned to the RyFi channel to get videos on all of these action toys. So for now, that's all I know about the AMK Pro series. Optimus Prime from Transformers Rise of the Beast. And thanks so much to Yolopark for sending this out one final time, and we'll see you next time.